comedian. That's a Canadian and comedian. Nice. He's best known for his voice work in Futurama as Zap Brannigan's belligerent assistant, Kif Kroker, melodramatic soap acting robot Calculon, and other characters, the Brain from the Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, and Egon Spangler. On the Real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters, please give a ConnectiCon welcome to Maurice Lamarche. And joining Maurice is an American voice actor and singer. Too bad he didn't live close by. Best known for his voice behind Raphael from the original cartoon, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Yakko Warner, and Dr. Otto Scratch and Sniff from Animaniacs, as well as Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. Please give a ConnectiCon welcome to Rob Paulsen.
Hello, my friend, the Brain.
Greetings, my friend.
Hello.
Yes.
Look, Brain, we're taking over the world, starting with all these lovely journalists.
Yes. You can infect the press with your message. Then you can have world domination.
That's right.
All right, we'll start in the front.
Hi, I'm Sarah Menendez from morepower.com. I know you guys have done like a whole bunch of roles, and I'm sure you have so much fun with them, but I want to know what's the most fun you've ever had in an audition for one of these roles?
Oh my goodness.
The hard question.
Really, it is a hard question. The most fun at an audition. Well, that usually, you know, things have changed. We were talking about this in our panel yesterday. Things have changed so much in the audition process. Can you guys hear me okay? To the extent that we're generally by ourselves now, because it used to be, in the old days, that Maurice and I and all of our friends would be at auditions together. So we'd see each other, and it was just an absolute blast. I mean, it was a friendly competition, but it was great because you were seeing all the people that you would choose to hang out with anyway. So in terms of fun at an audition, I don't know, because there's usually so much pressure I put on myself to get the job, you know.
Yeah. I would say, you know, with the whole thing of, you know, just being able to audition at home, you know, in your studio or even in your, you know, your closet with an Apogee mic and you know, your iPhone and Twisted Wave as a program. I've done that where I've just auditioned, and I like to audition completely naked, so I can have a lot of fun.
And I know because I'm there with him.
No, that's where the fun comes from. I don't know, you know, real story. I would say that you know, a lot of fun auditioning for Animaniacs. They gave us each about 7 or 8 characters to do.
Yeah.
That was a fun day, and we already were going in with our friends because we'd all done Tiny Toons with them, and so Andrea Romano and Tom Ruger. So it was just another chance to go, as my friend loves to say, to go play in the bitchinest sandbox in Hollywood. And you know, I just went nuts. And the only character I scored, I did get Squid doing my Ray Liotta impression.
Yeah.
But the only character I scored right away was the Brain. But I had you know, I took a pass at Yakko. I did him as Groucho Marx. Thank God you got the job. And you know, because I take everything literally. If there's a prototype mentioned that's an impression, I just go right to that. I'll give you an exact one.
Right.
You know, at the audition for Ghostbusters, which was kind of a funny story. You know, they said, don't do the people from the movie. You know, they came out and announced to a room full of like 40 actors, don't do the characters from the movie. Do your own thing with it. And I got in there, and I'd seen Ghostbusters 5 times, and I just went, I don't have anything except Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
You know, so I did like as close to a spot on Harold Ramis as I could, and when I got the job, and they said, you were the only one we decided, yeah. Harold should sound like himself. And sort of the sad part of the story is Lorenzo Music, who was the voice of Garfield and Dick Carlton, your doorman on Rhoda back in the 70s, which is still in reruns. He scored the Peter Venkman part, and about halfway through the series, Bill Murray saw the show. We were doing, you know, like 40 episodes, and Bill Murray saw the show and called up Ivan Reitman and said, how come Harold's guy sounds like him and my guy sounds like Garfield? And Lorenzo was out. And they cast Dave Coulier, our good friend who does a spot on Bill Murray impression, and he was Venkman for the rest of the series. Yeah. And you know, I feel like I'm a little responsible for that, but because I loved Lorenzo.
He was great.
He was a marvelous person and talented writer. And Anyway, so the other two guys who were there, speaking of them not wanting, they so didn't want to go with the movie version. Ernie Hudson and Arsenio Hall were the two guys that were in the room auditioning for Ghostbusters for the Winston Zeddemore part. Ernie Hudson from the movie, who played Winston in the movie, was auditioning to play his part in the cartoon show. And I looked over at Arsenio, and we knew each other from stand-up at the Comedy Store, and Arsenio just mouthed the words, "What the F am I doing here?" And I just went, "Let's go with it."
And guess who got the
Again,
gig?
Arsenio got the job. That was astounding to me. But, you know, Arsenio did a fantastic job, don't get me wrong, but I mean, when you're the guy from the movie, so thank God, I think Ernie's going to be in the new movie. So.
He is, yeah.
And he's always been a gentleman. I see him at cons, and he's always a gentleman, and you know, there's no bitterness about not doing the cartoon show. Anyway, long story. Too late to make it short.
Right over here with the black jacket.
Me?
Yes.
I think it's called a tunic.
A tunic?
Yes, just
Or a
I was going to say a
Nehru.
Komodo, but that's not it.
It's a jacket.
Well, all right,
Jacket.
fine.
It's a uniform jacket. It's no jacket. This is actually a question for Maurice.
Yes.
I heard a story, and I just want confirmation of whether or not this is true and what led to it. That supposedly you and Billy West at parties would get together and sometimes do Stimpy and the Brain. Is
Yeah.
that true?
We've done it occasionally. It's always fun. I think the joke that we do is like, you make me homesick for Pinky, Stimpy. Stop being such a boob. You know. Brain, what are we gonna do tonight? Can I have a nose goblin brain? You know. So we just improv off of each other. Billy and I have known each other since 1987.
He is such a delightful man.
We did our first, one of our first jobs, Billy's very first job, The New Adventures of Beanie and Cecil, which was also a first job for Eddie Gorodetsky and Chuck Lorre.
Wow, yeah.
Chuck Lorre wrote, one of his first gigs was writing The New Adventures of Beanie and Cecil, you know. He was doing music up to that point.
And now
It
he
was the
just
first
counts
script.
money.
But he can't count the money he's got. There's no way, and he's too
You know
busy
that-
writing shows. He's
Yeah,
got
and
4 shows on the air.
you guys all know who Chuck Lorre is, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you know also that Chuck also wrote the theme song to Teenage
Teenage
Mutant
Mutant
Ninja
Ninja
Turtles?
Turtles. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been counting money a long time.
Yeah. He's always done well.
Let's go over there in the back.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm cosplay attention. Now, I understand that you've now, instead of Raphael, they have put you as Donatello as the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have come out.
That's correct.
What would you think about the fact that actually, instead of playing Raphael, playing Donatello as a different part from the original series to the newer series?
How do I feel about being on the new one playing a different character?
Yeah.
Well, it's great because I'm working. I think it's kind of, it's flattering that often people in the viewing public think that we have the sort of gravitas and the star power, if you will, to say, no, I don't want to do that. I'll do Raphael, or you know what? I'd rather not do Raphael. I'll do Don. It was completely. I was grateful to audition for it. In fact, when I got the call to read, I knew that Turtles had been purchased by Viacom, which owns pretty much everything, and including Nickelodeon. And I was a victim of my own ageism, which is really important, I think, for young actors to hear, because even though I know that nobody gives a shit what I look like, thank God, I was the one that had an issue with the fact that I'd been a turtle 25 years ago, and I'm quite a bit removed from the teenage aspect of it. But I was the one that said, "Oh my God!"
But not the mutant part.
Not the mutant part. I'm so mutated.
This man has 2 belly buttons.
Yes. You can see it on Wikipedia. My agent called and said they want you to read, and I had my agent call back and say, "Well, do they know who I am?" Not out of arrogance. It was because I didn't want to get in there and have them say, "Oh shoot, that's right, you were on the original show." And there have been a number of iterations that have had nothing to do with the original cast, and we just don't want you involved. I just didn't want to be embarrassed and say, well, the old guy's here, let's throw him a bone. And they said, no, we know exactly who you are. And it occurred to me like, well, now these people who are making the show are somewhere between sort of 30 and 40. So they grew up watching all the things that Maurice and I have worked on, and they were just, no, we know exactly who you are. We just think you'd be interesting for our version of Donatello. And I was happy to read for it. But I was the one that had a problem with my age. So it was a very interesting lesson for me Because I remember on one of the callbacks, I was there with Jason Bateman and John Cryer and and clearly it's not about the money for those guys. They just want to be a turtle. And luckily I was able to get by my own insecurity and get the gig. But in terms of which one, it's a hackneyed answer, but it's true. I was so grateful to be the original Raphael, and if somebody had said 25 years later there's another show that's going to be arguably as popular, we just got nominated for a Primetime Emmy, and Maurice just got nominated for his 5th Primetime Emmy, 2 of which he's already won, back to back.
In the interest of accuracy, one of them was a daytime.
Oh, well, okay. Cry me a frickin' river. All right. So, but the thing is that that's a testament to the power of that franchise, and to be able to do it a second time with Nickelodeon and Viacom's money behind it, it's obviously working, or we wouldn't have gotten a nomination. And it's a really good show. By and large, the response I would say has been about 80% from people your age who grew up watching the original show. They kind of went, oh well, let's see what this reboot is like. And now they come up and say, oh my God, this is really good. It's because the people who are making it are your age. So I can't tell you enough how grateful I am to have both cracks at it. I mean, it's an incredibly unique experience.
This man has 2 cracks as well.
2 cracks. To go with my 2 belly buttons.
All right, so we do have time for a couple more.
Let's call the callback, by the way, in the comedy business.
Yeah.
Really, really distant callback. Yes, I'm sorry. You get the pick. You're the
me-
moderator.
you
No,
wanna
you're
go?
the moderator.
All right, yeah, we'll go
I'm
with,
the extremer.
with you
I
over there.
never do anything in moderation. Go ahead.
Hi, Keiko from Cosplayer NYC.
Hi.
I wanted to say to both of you, thank you for narrating my whole childhood.
Oh, bless your
all 21
heart.
years of my life.
Yes.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Question is, out of your extensive work that you guys done, what would be your favorite character to voice and why?
For me, it's the brain.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Futurama. Don't get me wrong. It's a very, very close second. And the dozen or so regular characters I play are all near and dear to my heart.
Did you hear what he just said? The dozen or so characters.
I have a dozen recurring or regular characters on Futurama. So sue me. That's what they hired me for. I'm not any of the main guys, but I'm in the periphery of the
But I
main
do a
guys.
dozen others.
Do a dozen. So, actually I've done 70. There was somebody with, I assume, on the spectrum and hyper-focused.
On the spectrum.
Created a website counting all of our characters on the show. Went through the entire series, counted all of our characters. Apparently including one-offs, recurrings, and regulars. I've done 72. And Tress McNeil has done 75. She's actually got the most characters. I have the second most characters.
Who's on the spectrum again?
Well, apparently we're going over the list and double checking everything. But anyway, I may be on the spectrum actually.
Yeah, well,
it's
it
very
works.
possible.
Hey, all of us, thank God.
That's why I have 17 of this shirt. People think I never change my clothes. I actually have literally 17 of this shirt in various colors, and it's all I wear during the week or when I'm because they're silent. This shirt is completely silent, makes no mic noise.
Well,
Okay, I might just be on. Okay,
I think
I'm building your case that I'm on the spectrum. It's beautiful to be on the spectrum. So go do whatever yourself. Anyway, for me, the brain, because I got to work with this guy.
Good answer.
And there was a chemistry to those 2 characters. And when you spend 6 to 7 years playing 2 guys who are essentially, have a love and irritation relationship with each other, the relationship becomes very rich, And so for me, the brain, even though Futurama has, as he said, brought me 2 Emmys and a nomination, I just love the brain. I just love that guy because he's all of us. Even though he's a genetically altered, mutated lab mouse bent on taking over the world, he's all of us because we all have some struggle that when life knocks us down, as it does to Brain in every episode, he still dusts himself off. Pinky asks him,
Well, egad, Brain, what are we going to do tonight?
same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. That's a message to everybody. It's like, don't give up. Don't give up. Even if you think your dream is, unattainable, dust yourself off and just start the day again. You know, so I gotta love that guy for that reason. You, my friend?
Well, I learned very early that I had neither the talent nor the looks of Diedrich Bader. So, oh my God, he's here. And I thought, well, I can't let that stop me because I have to make a car payment. So I was lucky enough to, probably the same thing, Maurice. I've had an embarrassment of riches, and it's, gosh, Turtles and Animaniacs and all that. Probably a Pinky as well, because that meant a lot to me personally, and all the awards and all of that. But yeah, when you get a chance.
By the way, Emmy winner for his role as Pinky.
Only because my friend the Brain decided he didn't need another one.
I had none at that point.
That's right, and there's a great story about that. Actually, very quickly, that was at the at Madison Square, the theater at Madison Square Garden. It was on ABC or C, I don't know. Anyway, I got to win, and it was the first year Susan Lucci finally won an Emmy, a daytime Emmy. So after so she was the star of the show, and rightfully so. But there's a giant clock over the audience, and I remember Dick Clark, who produced it at the time, was standing at the side going like this, like, "Come on, dude." And I was saying, "Thank you this, thank you that." And Whoopi Goldberg and Tom, the guy from Dancing with the Stars, Bergeron, were my presenters. And I thanked everybody except Maurice Lamarche. The show is not called the Pinky Show, it's called Pinky and the Brain. And so I'm like, "Thank you, Mr. Spielberg, thank you this." So I started to walk off, everybody's clapping. I looked back and I said, "Oh my God, I forgot to thank my friend." And Whoopi said, "Well, you can't go back out there now, honey." And so I was racing through the bowels of Madison Square Garden trying to find a payphone to call Maurice to say, "Oh my God, I forgot to thank you, please don't kill me." And of course he went on to win.
That's how long ago it was. He had to find a payphone. Does
Anybody
here remember payphones?
But so yeah, I mean, it's a toss-up, like Mo said. Everything is I mean, I got to work with Tress and Jess and as Yakko, Wacko, and Dot too, and that was pretty amazing too. So it's hard, but I would say yeah, if I had to make it, someone holding a gun to my pink little head, it would have to be Pinky. Yeah.
Yes, my friend. You said the right answer.
Thank you, sweetie.
We'll not get boxed tonight.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to press on, so let's
thank... I hear what you said there.
Okay. I've been holding that one in for a while. So let's thank these guys, Maurice Lae, stand-up comedian, that's a Canadian and comedian. Nice. He's best known for his voice work in Futurama as Zap Brannigan's belligerent assistant, Kif Croker, melodramatic soap acting robot Calculon, and other characters, the Brain from the Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, and Egon's. Best known for his voice behind Raphael from the original cartoon, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Yakko Warner, and Dr. Otto Scratch and Sniff from Animaniacs, as well as Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. Please give a ConnectiCon welcome to Rob Paulsen. Spangler. On the Real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters, please give a ConnectiCon welcome to Maurice Lamarche. And joining Maurice is an American voice actor and singer. It's too bad he didn't live close by.
Hello, my friend, the Brain.
Greetings, my friend.
Hello.
Yes.
Look, Brain, we're taking over the world, starting with all these lovely journalists.
Yes. If you can infect the press with your message, then you can have world domination.
That's right.
All right, we'll start in the front.
Hi. I'm Sarah Menendez from morepower.com. I know you guys have done like a whole bunch of roles, and I'm sure you have so much fun with them, but I want to know what's the most fun you've ever had in an audition for one of these roles?
Oh my goodness.
The hard question.
Really, it is a hard question. The most fun at an audition. Well, that usually, things have changed. We were talking about this in our panel yesterday. Things have changed.